So I did a whole video on it last night, but right in the middle of it, there's like this 2-minute period of time where I look for a lighter. And I can't do that to you. You're nice enough to stop by and share your thoughts when you do and see what's going on. I can't have you sitting there for 2 minutes while I look for a lighter swearing. Probably had a few racial epithets in there too. Epithets. That's not the right word. Anyway, things seem to be moving a lot quicker. The synchronicities, realizations, inner understandings. You know, I'm waking up with more stuff on the hard drive. You know, like, oh wow, that's why that is the way it is. I don't know how often that happens to other people. Like, there's a lot of similarities between what I'm going through and a lot of other people are going through with this sort of spiritual awakening, I guess you'd call it. And yeah, I've talked to some people who had this thing, like where they'll be talking and they'll just start saying things that they didn't know they knew, or start explaining a concept they didn't know they understood. And this was happening to me too. And I'm like, why am I lying about this? And like, I'll just start saying, oh no, this is because that. And I'm thinking, like, what am I saying? Why am I lying? What am I saying this for? But then it turns out it wasn't a lie. It was true. There'll just be stuff that just pops up in my head that wasn't there before. This is one of the other weird aspects of this whole phenomenon that's been going on. And that's been going on since the beginning. Like when I first started experiencing all this stuff. And I had a friend too that lives here. And the same thing was kind of happening to him. He would say, like, where did I get that from? I'm like, I don't know. But he'd be right, you know. As I said before, it's like a lot of this stuff, a lot of information, you have inside you. It's written like a code in your DNA. And that's why I think for some people, meditation is good. I can't do it just because my mind's too all over the place. But I don't even think it's so much meditation. I just think it's more quiet, like inner quiet time. This tree is awesome. This morning, like every morning, in my neighborhood, there's roosters. And right after 6 o'clock, they start losing their mind. There was one on the phone pole out right behind my building. I've never seen him up on a phone pole before. I was like, how the fuck do you get up there? I was always under the impression that they really didn't fly, but I guess they do, you know, because he was up there. Or, which would be even funnier, is if someone put him up there. But he was going off. Usually they'll do that for like 45 minutes in the morning. It's weird. Like, they just gotta yell at everybody, like, that giant fireball's coming, everybody get ready. But yeah, so anyway, these things are happening more often, these I guess understanding and realizations. Also synchronicities, which is another big part of this, which is something it seems a lot of us have, where, you know, someone will mention something and the very next thing you read will be that. I call them Marios because my wife and I have a shared one with the character Mario from I Can't Walk Too Close to the Beach with a cigarette, get in trouble. In fact, I'm going to cross over because they get mad about that. But with Mario, the video game character, it turned, like, everywhere we went, he seemed to be there. Like, in advertisements, a shirt in a store, just really random places we'd be seeing Mario. And then it really started getting crazy. One night we're walking home from work, her work, not my work, and this car drives by, like cranking music, and he's cranking the 8-bit Mario theme. It's a busker. Well, there's a lot of buskers in my neighborhood, and one of them was a young guy playing guitar, and I walked up to where he was to the light, stand at the light. He starts playing the Mario theme. So there's like a lot of stuff like that. So now anytime we have a synchronicity, and there's way more, like there's a whole list of Mario related stuff. Mario merchandise started jumping out at me, and of course I started buying it because I have a shopping problem. But so anytime any kind of synchronicity comes up, call it, it's a Mario. I've heard this Mario. We say that a lot. Oh, no thanks, man. Oh, no, I'm good. Thank you for asking, though. So the it pops up in everything. These not everything, but like in strange places or random places. It's just synchronicity, but they're happening much quicker and much more. The speed and the volume is increasing. Yeah, the guy was asking if I wanted boy. Boy is H. Speed, like crystal meth and stuff, that's Ma. Well, actually, Ma is crack, boy is heroin. That's why it's funny when these undercovers will come up to you and start asking you questions. A lot of the undercovers here are like, they're on vacation. They're just kind of flying in. And I guess, I was told this, that while they're here, like they'll come on like a sort of working vacation where they'll bring their families, but they'll put up hours. And I don't know why they let them do undercover stuff, because they don't know any of the local terminology. So they come up and you can pick them out right away, or at least I can. You can tell by what they're wearing. You always look at the shoes and the watch. They always have a watch, and they always have a certain type of shoes. The shoes and the watch always kind of give them away. Well, and everything else. So anyway, back to the stuff. The speed of these things and the volume are increasing by a day. Like, it's getting kind of crazy. Like, and it seems to start slow in the morning. Not because it's the morning or whenever you wake up, or whenever I wake up, for that matter. And by the time I go to bed, it's like so crazy that I gotta like get to sleep just to like stop it. It's nuts. But it's good. Regan over at Transforming the Darkness was talking about something along the lines of that too, how it's things seem to be ramping up. And they are. And plus the craziness of the world right now, it's like I just can't imagine it going on for a long time at this kind of pace, or the increasing pace it's at, as far as personal revelations, understandings, I guess abilities, finding you can do things, or and the ability situation, or the skills, or whatever you call it, that, and it's funny too, I want to put a pin in that, seem to be happening a lot too. And these aren't like powers or abilities. These are things that we as beings can do. We're actually light beings, I believe fifth dimensional ones. There's a small piece of us here that are animating these bodies, these avatars. Matt from Quantum of Conscience says it's like our finger as an example of how small a piece of our real bodies is needed to animate these meat suits. He says it's like dipping your finger into a pool, and the finger thinks it's its own being, but it's actually just a finger attached to a much larger one. And then there's the fact that you can't remember anything, And the reason for that is just because if you could remember what the real deal was, this wouldn't be much of a test, or he's got a whole thing going. This wouldn't be much of a test if you knew all that stuff. You wouldn't be able to have the sort of obstacles, wouldn't be as, there wouldn't be obstacles, really. So there has to be a amnesic thing. And I believe that you get another dose of that amnesic stuff, this is just my theory, when you sleep. Sleep gives you that, because when you wake up, if you have a dream, like if you're dreaming of something, when you first wake up, you can remember it really well. But then as the day goes on, you forget it. You'll forget the dream. Because of the amnesic juice, I think you get a big dose of that when you're born, just to start you off. You come out with that. And that, whatever that is, that stuff that makes you forget you existed in another place, you get little doses of that when you sleep. And I think that's why you have to sleep. As I've talked about before, it has nothing to do with your body being tired. Your body is a perpetual motion machine. You have a heart that's boom, 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 every second your entire life. You lay around the house all day watching TV, you're not getting tired. I don't think sleep and being tired are correlated all that closely. I think it's more like you need to get your dose of forgetful juice. Because like I was saying a few minutes ago, these synchronicities, these understandings, this stuff, as the day goes on, it gets more intense to like with a point before you go to sleep. It's like, whoa, it's happening a lot. That's because your dose is wearing off. Your forget juice dose, whatever the fuck it is doing that. And that's why you have to sleep. Your body will start fucking up. You'll start knocking things over. Or you're like, oh, I'm just tired. Your limbic system starts going to shit. That's your body saying, all right, you got to go down, because we got to give you a dose of the forgetful juice. So that the forgetful juice, I think it works in tandem with the veil. And the veil, I believe, the one that, lies between what you see and what is real, I think is tied to it. And I think it's a form of technology. But that's a whole nother situation. The thing I want to stay on is the speed of the and the volume of the weirdo stuff that's happening. A problem I have lately is trying to explain concepts. This happens when I'm talking to people, or I'll try to explain something to my wife, and it has nothing to do with anyone being smarter or not as intelligent or whatever. It has everything to do with just understanding. Understanding in this case doesn't have a lot to do with intelligence. It's just these things come to you. But sometimes I'll sit there and try to describe a concept, but I really can't. And what it is I think we're outpacing the vocabulary we have, the words we have, the way to describe these things becoming more difficult, because we're outpacing the tools that we have to be able to do that. And I started to think about a shorthand kind of method to communication. The words we have are the words we have, and I believe we're only given certain ones for a reason. Again, see, this is what happens to me. I could always go down another road, but I'm going to stay away from that one. So it got me thinking about conceptualizing thoughts and grouping them together as one thing, almost like hieroglyphics. Like when you have hieroglyphics, it wouldn't just mean a word, it would mean an action. Like a guy standing with 3 lines meant he was doing something, or, like how hieroglyphics used to work. Emojis are almost kind of the same thing. Like you can talk to anyone in another language, with a happy face or laughing face, and they know what you're talking about. As these things ramp up in speed and in volume, it becomes more difficult to explain the concepts or ideas verbally, or with the limited words and vocabulary language that we have. It's all good though, but it feels like I was saying earlier, it feels like I can't go on this way. Like I can't imagine things continuing to ramp up in a spiritual sense, as well as the world itself. It's fucking crazy out there. I mean, you know, that goes without saying. The idea that once critical mass is reached, and what I mentioned that a lot, what I think critical mass is just a certain amount of people or souls or divine souls realizing their predicament or realizing the situation. And I think once enough of us do that, this thing here will end. I don't know how that's going to manifest itself physically or spiritually. Like, do we just vibrate out of the place, or everything disappears and, you know, we can see that it's like a holodeck, like, oh, here we are. I don't know how that's going to work. But from what I understand, that's the end point for it. And I think it's a lot closer than, you know, it is, than it was at any point. That made no sense, but I'm basically saying the same thing 10 different ways, which is something I do quite a bit. But anyway, basically, bottom lining it, shit's getting crazy. It's getting crazy fast, but it's all good. It's a good thing. The destination is a good one. Everyone is going to be fine. We're all going to be fine. And there's nothing to worry about. Never fear. Because when you come out of this place, when this, whatever transformation happens, it's not going to be much different than from a dream. You know, when you have a dream and everything seems intense, whatever the dream is, and then you wake up and you're like, holy shit, I was all worried over nothing. That was just a dream. And, you know, I really wasn't running the Care Bear factory, fucking whatever the hell you're doing in your dream. No, I'm not saying running the Care Bear factory is an important job that can be stressful. I'm just using that as an example. Wow, things are really, things get happening early here. I don't think it's even 8 o'clock yet. But conversely, they close up shop, or like by 10 o'clock, it's like shit's closed. We only have a couple bars, so there's really no nightlife here in Waikiki. There used to be. My wife grew up here, and I have some other friends here that, you know, grew up here too, and they tell me how crazy it used to be. Not crazy bad, but, you know, crazy good. There was a lot of different options and things to do for a nightlife, which really, there's a couple places more up the road that I usually walk over in that area when I'm doing these videos. I don't really come up the beach often because it's usually a lot of people here. Like, this is probably the beginning of when a lot of people start coming out. In a couple hours, it would just be too difficult to be up here doing this. Plus, people get a little bit upset when they see, when they think you're filming them. It's like, man, like, yeah, like I'm here to film you. You know, same thing with taking pictures too sometimes here. I'll take a picture of a street or something, and some street mutant will jump out of a garbage barrel and be like, why are you taking pictures of me? It's like, oh, God. Yeah, I came out here to do a photo session with you, you know? Whatever. People got problems. But yeah, don't blame the teacher, blame the school.